Ready to start your ESG journey? Get going today with Social Suite, and you could start reporting publicly in 30 days. With investor pressure mounting and regulations just around the corner, there's never been a better time to start your ESG reporting. Social Suite takes the complexity out of environmental, social, and governance reporting. Social Suite helps organizations to measure, monitor, and report on their progress with fast, simple, and affordable software. Create value through ESG in order to raise capital, improve brand and reputation, as well as mitigate risk. Social Suite has helped almost 100 micro to small cap companies report on ESG, with some starting their baseline report in under 60 minutes and reporting publicly within 30 days. ESG is a lot easier than you think, and you're probably already doing it. So take your sustainability reporting to the next level with measurable progress. Start your ESG journey today with Social Suite, an ESG software company for micro to small caps. Visit socialsuitehq.com. That's social, SUITEHQ.com to learn more. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not provided as financial, legal, or any other advice. The information is not investment advice or an offer to buy or sell any securities or make any investment. The views expressed by guest speakers are their own, and any reference to third-party products, services, or information does not constitute an endorsement thereof by SNN or its affiliates. SNN expressly disclaims all liability for any individual's use of the information presented in this podcast. My guest on the show today is Shai Lustgarten, CEO of OMniQ Corp. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is OMQS on NASDAQ. OMniQ Corp provides computerized and machine vision image processing solutions that use patented and proprietary AI technology to deliver data collection, real-time surveillance, and monitoring for supply chain management, homeland security, public safety, traffic and parking management, and access control applications. The company's customers range across 4 key verticals: supply chain, traffic management, public safety, safe cities, and retail and restaurants. As it states in the title and Shai's answer to my first question, the company creates automation through object identification. Yes, it sounds like tech jargon. However, I started to better understand what OMniQ is attempting to achieve when you better understand the verticals they are serving, which we cover at length in our conversation, as well as what differentiates OMniQ's technology from their peers, working with their client base to solve huge problems like homeland security and supply chain management, their path to profitability, and where Shai would like to see the company in 3 to 5 years. With that, please enjoy my conversation with Shai Lustgarten, CEO of OMniQ Corp. Shai, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, we can't complain. I'm in LA. There's summer around the corner, so we're all good here. Well, Shai, this is actually our first time, meeting. I've the company's been introduced to me from some folks that I very much respect, and highly recommended that you come on the show and hear a little bit more about the company. So, to start us off, and this is my question I ask everybody to as the first question on here, what would you say is that one sentence that best describes OMniQ?
OMniQ creates automation through object identification. That's basically what we do. We identify objects and we create actions, automatic actions that before were manual, and it goes in different use cases. So that's our company. We do algorithms. We use a lot of machine vision, AI to do that, and but that's the formal answer. If you want my answer, my sincere answer to it, we change the lives of people. That's what we do. We change the lives of people because once you turn on our products, they change your lives and how you operate and monitor and control things you do in different industrial areas.
Very good. Thank you for providing me with many different rabbit holes to go down as we go on here. So, I want to also now go to OMniQ's history. When was the company founded, and what would you say was the original thesis for its founding?
30 years ago, the company was founded by 3 guys, basically. And started from couple guys, but then they added another one through an acquisition. But that was done about 30 years ago. And again, the buzzword back then to automate actions in warehouses, industrial areas, environments like distribution centers and different warehouses and supply chain levels, right? Transportation, logistics, and everything. The buzzword back then was scanning barcodes. How do you stick barcode labels on objects or assets, as we call it, and then identify them or track them by pointing a scanner on them and read the barcode and integrate that information into different ERP systems like Oracle, SAP, etc. So that was their focus. Again, that was done 30 years ago. What we asked ourselves 6 years ago when I came aboard and became the CEO, we asked ourselves, okay, how can we actually do very good things we did before, but with next gen technology, and we were able actually to keep that understanding of how the company started 30 years ago, but add exciting technology into it, the next gen of object identification into it, and this way be able to penetrate even further more markets, because we did focus only on supply chain at first.
Absolutely. So, catch us up then to today. As you said, when you came on board, you said you came on board about 6 years ago, right?
Yes.
Catch us up to today. How does the company currently exist, in terms of the types of products the types of verticals you're going after? Love to hear more there.
We're focusing on 3 markets today. The first one, of course, is the supply chain, the market we started from 30 years ago. We have amazing customers we serve for decades already, Fortune 100, Fortune 500 customers there that we serve and love the type of service they get from us. That's one market. The second market, which is, I would say, a 4-year-old market, 5-year-old market, which is traffic management. The third one is public safety and safe cities. And the fourth one we focus on, which is a new market for us, is retail and restaurants. These are the markets we serve today. We have products that go into each of these markets today, and all of them deal with how do we automate manual processes and conduct it through object identification using most of the time AI in the new markets and still some legacy technology in the old market, which is a supply chain.
All right. So let's use. Can you give us an example of, one of your, let's obviously supply chain, right? That's the kind of the 30-year business, right? So can you give us an example of how, a customer then say, okay, we're with you, OmniQ. All right, Shai, sign us up. Give us full suite. What does that look like?
They want to run their supply chain levels. For example, let's take one of our good customers, Safeway. They want to open 200 stores today, or if they want to, modernize a warehouse or a distribution center. Online shopping is a big thing, of course, started COVID. Before that, but during COVID times, it grew drastically. That's why we shined during these times. But basically, when something like this, such a need happens, when they need to run their operations, they need to identify where all the assets are at on the shelves during transportation, going into the stores, coming from vendors into distribution centers, and then in the store as well. You want to know what's on the shelf, what's getting sold, etc. The way to do that is you have to identify automatically the objects on anywhere they are, and we sell them the technology to do that, software and hardware to do that. Mainly 98% of the times today in supply chain, it's done with, like I said, the 25, 27-year-old technology, which is doing it through barcode. You got also barcodes, right? So we come in and we actually tell them exactly what they need. And we tell them also how they need to integrate that information and data. Once we identify the objects, how is it integrated into the different ERP systems? And that's how they run the operation, from distribution centers, to warehouses, to the stores, and in between these supply chain levels, also the transportation, what's coming in on the trucks, what's going out. And we use different technologies today. Again, we started from the barcode technology, scanners, etc. But then we upgraded to RFID, which is used a lot today and growing, Bluetooth, different wireless technologies to do that. Mainly that is done, that's how we do it in supply chain. Today, like I said, we invested in the next gen solutions or technology, which is doing object identification by machine vision. People say AI. To me, I like to be more focused, but machine vision algorithms, we have 9 patents on our technology. We're coming out with heads-up displays, so you don't need to take a scanner, right, and use your hands in any way. You try to make a machine-to-machine solution in real time that sometimes even identifies everything without a touch of a man. That's where you want to be, to create complete automation. But to go to the supply chain environment, there, imagine the employees in the warehouse where they have to carry scanners, they have to carry sometimes printers, they have to carry a cell phone as well to communicate. You can do it all with a heads-up display, augmented reality that shows you exactly where you got to go. You don't need to look on a route card to see where you got to go next to pick up something. It can all be done through the sensor, a camera that we put on the heads-up display, identify not only the barcode, but identify the object itself, even if there is no barcode on it, by knowing to identify additional markings on the box itself, like if there is a type on it, different characters on it, the size of the box, the color of the box, etc. So this way you make it even more accurate, and that's what the new technology upgrade is going to be.
Absolutely. So, I've done a number, listen, I'm in MicroCap land, all right? And I've actually done a number of interviews over the years, with ID, identification solutions, from RFID to all sorts of stuff. I think I recently did an interview, or maybe I just had a conversation with a company that was looking to also do something similar in the grocery store, in grocery as well. So in terms of differentiation and looking at the moat for the company, what would you say is that key differentiating factor for OmniQ versus maybe some of your peers out there?
We make it practical. We just take these technologies and all these big slogans. We invest a lot of millions of dollars, like others as well, in the technology. But we're using 30 years of experience. We call ourselves a 30-year-old startup. That's why we're excited here, all the employees, because that's how we behave. We behave as startups because of the technology and the so many use cases that every day, sometimes we don't even think about. They come into to my table, and it's very difficult to not respond to it because the platform we created for object identification is really relevant. It's really limitless, its relevancy. But using our 30 years of experience, we make it practical. And that's why I said in the beginning, once you turn on, for example, one of our products, Q Shield, suddenly we make the invisible visible. And it's like a black screen, and boom, suddenly you see everything pops up, and you can start managing situation rather than getting managed or not even treating or responding to different events and situations. It's hard to maybe explain it this way, but once you make it relevant and practical and answers simple needs, and not go after the big ones. Sometimes you find yourself even responding to the big ones by doing that, the big problems. One of the things we do, for example, in safe cities, every city wants to be safe. Every city wants the streets to be safe for our kids to walk on, right? We got a lot of stolen vehicles, you got pedophiles, you got terrorists, you got so many challenges, and you got a lot of big companies that sell safe city solutions, but they go with, they're not going to wake up in the morning if it's not a $100 million project for them. Most of the cities in the US, 16,000 of them are between 0 to 100,000 residents, or, a little bit over than that. So, and there are 22,000 registered towns in the US. So if you talk about the majority don't have the money to actually deploy say, or make the streets safe for our kids to walk on. That's why you see gunshots, and that's why, at schools and churches and synagogues and mosques, etc. It happens because they can do it. It can happen. What we did is we trained our engine, the algorithms, we call it the engine. We trained it to work together with sensors like cameras, for example, and create automatic actions that come in the shape of applications. And we went to the cities. We went to a town that has less than 6,000 residents, very small town, in Georgia, the first one. We put on the pole in one of the intersection. We pulled the cameras, and then we started training the engine to identify vehicles, any type of vehicle. And we started integrating to different databases, like the federal databases called NCIC, local police databases, DMV databases, where the police was able to give us the authorization to do that. And again, the algorithm started doing their work. We started identifying all the vehicles in 20 milliseconds, and then cross-check it with any database. And suddenly, boom, you see where all your Amber Alerts you're looking for. You see where all your stolen vehicles are at. You see where all, that cross-check across that intersection. And suddenly that 1.5 police officer, because they don't have budgets for 2 police officers, it's only like 1.5, which they're getting managed. And so many things happen even in small towns. They cannot even address the problems. So, and they need money as well, right? Budgets to get more advanced and really treat the situations. That's why you read a lot in the newspapers why police never have enough people, right? Because there's no money. So we came and we created a win-win-win-win situation. What it means is we started making the invisible visible. If that police officer is looking for any vehicle and that information actually came from even a different town, we automated that network. If it goes on the database, boom, we send a text message with a picture, GPS coordinates, hour, time, and then we created the police tool, investigation tool that is automatic, and you can start managing and start seeing where things are at. We solved the missing person investigation, or assisted to solve it. We brought back home in 1 month, in less than a month, once he turned on QShield on Silver Alert, after 1.5 hours, we brought back home to his family an elderly person who suffered from amnesia, that just took off with his car, and there was no other way to find him other than just looking at QShield, making a quick search for blue Buick, and boom, you got all of them, and you knew where that person is going. We knew where to send and direct the officer to go to, and the person was brought back home that same day after an 1.5 hours. Just to give you an example, how we make money, QShield, at the same time that it notifies alerts and notifications of any kind, customized, we also know if that vehicle is registered or not registered, if the vehicle is insured or not insured. So 24/7, we can identify 100% of the violators of that traffic violations. And we send out automatically citations, and we keep a portion of it in-house. But suddenly I found myself writing checks to police chiefs for very small towns for $40,000, $60,000 a month. They didn't even know what to do with that money, which goes now back to the community, hiring more officers, getting laptops to kids, making social events in the community. So you see how we change people's lives.
Very interesting. So only
one product,
right? So that's on the Safe City vertical, right? So can you give us also an overview on? I'm guessing traffic management is also included in that a little bit, or is that its own separate?
Traffic management. Why do you take tickets? Why do someone needs to stop?
Okay.
And why do you need a gate? You don't need to. You want to enforce better.
Wait,
get rid of
hold
the
on.
gate.
There's no more California roll-throughs, man. I mean, come on.
Well, in San Mateo, go to San Mateo in California, you'll see all of our systems there enforcing parking and charging for parking without gates. All the public you have this green light, red light that we put there where we authorize to exit or not. If someone exits and didn't pay, and this is the big thing, it's all connected now because we know what happens in real time in every parking lot, on parking spaces on the street as well, where when we put our sensors, we connect. That's what we call the web approach. So if you try to not pay in one parking lot, you get immediately a citation 5 times more than what probably you should have paid, or a warning, whatever the police or the city decides. We don't care. But then everyone else are connected, and you don't need a person to enforce that connection or spot that person coming to the next time. Once he does, we won't let him in, or we'll send an officer over there and tell them, hey, this guy just came in, he didn't pay the other time, do something about it. That's how you make the connection. It's not now isolated incidents that never get connected. We actually not only can enforce in isolated areas and do what we got to do, we also connect it to one big network that you can now manage that information.
Very good. So going back to the companies, to the moat, I get it. You're basically providing kind of an all-in-one solution for identification tools, machine learning, some algorithms, database management and alerts and automating some of those systems. But, and I'm sure you get this asked all the time, like what's stopping, companies that, we're recording this on Wednesday, May 17th, companies around about 46 million market cap rounding up, what's stopping, the Rings of the world from integrating their solutions and their software with municipalities, and having an all community-wide solution there, or there's Nextdoor and all that stuff. So love to hear your thoughts there.
Well, they started small as well, right? Yep. They started also from $10 million,
True.
$40 million valuation. That's what we do as well. Anyone can do anything. Any company, any CEO wakes up with his team and they decide, what are we going to focus on? And we've decided to focus on these areas because we've got 30 years of experience there. So we know what we're talking about. We understand the pain points. We're professionals, the best people in the market, in each of these markets that we focus on, to understand the pain points. And that's the unique capability we have to make it practical, to make it a game changer the second you turn it on, the product on, and not just wait for an ROI to come after a few months or a year or 3 years or whatever. We make the ROI happen. When we bring back the person home, the silver alert home, that's your ROI in a day, right? For that town. So that's what we're looking at. We understand the pain points in supply chain, traffic management, public safety, and safe cities, and the retail and restaurants. And yes, Ring can come and actually say that, focus on these areas as well and try to do it. But we think that we could actually do something better. We found our place in the market. We have amazing references. For example, the governments of Israel are all they're enforcing the security of the borders of Israel with our systems. I'm trying to say things that are not confidential. In the Middle East, we have additional countries that use us. The U.S. Border crossing points between the U.S. to Mexico are using our system. We got a lot of experience where you worked on projects, and now we made the change to productize it so we can create the scalability for a very large audience, and investors hopefully can see that. So to answer your question, like I said, yes, a lot of companies can do a lot of things others can do, but it depends what you want to focus on.
Absolutely. So in terms of the you've already outlined the 4 main verticals where you're deploying your products and services. Which one right now has been, some the more, I guess, for lack of a better term, more the top performer? Which ones are kind of still more growthy areas that you're still working on some more market penetration? I'd love to kind of get a better understanding from your perspective there.
The parking solutions definitely is an area where we see a lot of growth in. We have now 58 airports using our system to enforce the next gen parking like JFK, LaGuardia, Newark. You're in California, so Los Angeles Airport, San Francisco Airport, Sacramento are using our systems as well. Why? The unique thing is because it is not only coming with the efficiencies that we created, the automation, but also comes with security. Being able to now create this handshake, and this is something we love to say, where the handshake between the virtual world that knows everything about everyone to real life and what happens in real life. Once you make that connection, you can do a lot of things. And so we come with efficiencies in parking, automation in parking, and also with this security. And that's why all the airports are using us. Definitely parking in traffic management is a big driver. Another one is safe cities and public safety. We brought this also to schools to prevent shooting. We brought this to additional community centers as well. And that's making a lot of noise now. Yeah, I mean, supply chain grows as well, but these areas are doubling the revenues every year.
Very good. A quick follow-up on, because in terms, especially on the school safety, right? Like that's, I wasn't planning on asking this, but I think what some folks might hear them be like, that's amazing. You have a solution to stop that. But on the other side of the coin, it's like, okay, well, what is your liability if for some reason, like it didn't get picked up on your scanner or something, and then God forbid that still happened, and here, like what's basically the downside risk there for a failure if that were to happen? God forbid, of course, but yeah.
So first of all, legally we're not liable, but we would have never felt, I would say, safe or confident to introduce Q Shield with these capabilities if we didn't have something to rely on. When you do that 100% of the time, 24/7. By the way, everyone has failures, right? I mean, whatever technology, even if you put a person there, 100 persons, something will happen. So we know the 6 nines work, the 99.999 chances that we'll pick it up, and we do much better job than what they do today. If we compare ourselves to a person, we create a machine-to-machine, an M2M solution that takes away the touch of man in the process of the identification and cross-checking it, and much faster create the actions, the alerts, notifications, etc. We felt comfortable coming to schools, universities, community centers, airports, etc. We felt comfortable going there only after many years of experiences when we did it in the borders, right? When we have that algorithm, the engine trained so well and been selected by governments many times before to provide our security solutions. And it's not just because we're speaking nicely or taking them to nice dinners that they select us. It's only because we perform well, the fastest in the world and most accurate in the world. And we specialize in what we in the areas that we operate in, and that's why they select us, because we make a lot of functionalities that are very practical and relevant to their everyday, and give them that performance level. And once we did that for many years, we brought it now to schools. We brought it now to universities. We brought it now to airports. We brought it now to parking solutions. We brought it now. Sometimes, lives are very important, of course, number one. But also when you're at JFK airport and you make hundreds of millions of dollars on parking and you don't perform well and 10%, is lost, that's a lot of money. So we're measured there as well, compared there as well to many others that provide solutions like that. And not just, again, because of our other things they select us. It's only about performance.
Very good. So, Shai, you've done the dog and pony show a little bit here, right? You've gone to the investor conferences, you've done the one-on-ones, I'm sure, right? I'm assuming, and maybe after they, heard the presentation once, or maybe had a chance to meet you one time, what do investors still maybe get confused when thinking about OmniQ? Maybe we can answer some of those frequently asked questions here.
When you start reading the history of OmniQ, where we came from to where we're at today, it's difficult to understand. It's difficult to get the picture unless you're engaged with our team, with myself, but with our team, and ask the questions to explain this. How did it come from barcode technology to protect the borders of Israel? From there to protect the borders of the US. From there to automate parking lots. And that's why we try to simplify it and say it's a platform. We created a platform, a company that creates automation through object identification relevant to many use cases, but we focus on 4 areas. But this is basically what is difficult many times for investors, unless they follow the company and understand where we came from, exactly like you were asking, where we came from, understand the history, and why did we do what we're doing, and then where we are today. And then it makes sense, because then you understand exactly why we're looking at these areas and why we created these growth engines, and we focus and spend millions of dollars on it.
Well, I totally get that, because also you kind of think to yourself like, all right, object identification, like wrapping your head around that of, wow, okay, you're telling me that you have a platform that can recognize, some terrorist walking into an airport or school with a gun. You're telling me you can identify, a car, a potential, a suicide bomber crossing into Israel. Like that's kind of a heavy thing to really wrap your head around. Like, well, wait, why are you where you're at right now? Right? Like, been around for 30 years. Like, what's going on? Like that. I get that.
So we are, yeah. And going back to what you said, in object identification as well, you want to be expert. You don't want to try to identify all objects, right? And we focus on what we understand. And like you said very clearly before, what if you fail? This is exactly what we think about every day as well. How do we make it better? That's why we're not identifying apples now, or carrots, or different vegetable, or different other things. We focus on vehicles. We focus on some other practical objects that really suit and our total solutions and where we came from 30 years ago. That because we understand the pain points, we understand what's got to get done. And going back again to what you said, look, we see this in the movies, right? I mean, the government, and we know that. The government knows everything about everyone. They spend billions, hundreds of billions of dollars a year on databases that know, and servers that keep the data on where do you serve. I mean, even voice recognition on conversations. We know exactly what will trigger something, an action, if the computer picks it up. That Siri listens to you, that Alexa listens to you, everything is stored. It's all about the new gold is data, like, right? And then the question is, what do you do with that data? We have created the AI algorithms to generate the data we need for the actions that we understand are game changers in the field we expertise in. The most important thing about that statement is that when the government knows all, whatever they know about the terrorists and who are there, but if they don't sense it in real time, then what do you do with that virtual world? Nothing happens. That's why whenever there is a shooting somewhere, they know exactly after a second. You see on the news, on the screen, you see exactly, oh, this guy, he went to Syria a few times, blah, blah, blah. Suddenly, all that information pops up. Why? How do they know? Because it's there. They made the connection. We are proactive. Let's make that connection before an event happens. Let's treat the risks and identify the risks before they become event. That's OMniQ. And it's relevant for the security aspects of it. And it's relevant for supply chain and very large enterprises, because they want all the time to be proactive, anticipate, and forecast what will happen, because that's how you create the efficiencies.
Sorry, you freaked me out when you said they know where you surfed, because I literally surfed this morning. So I don't know if you actually already have access to this right now.
I meant web surfing.
Oh, you're freaking me out, Shai. But anyway, So my next question then for you, and again, this is a question I ask everybody on here, and really want to hear your opinion on this. Is again, what in your opinion, what would you say are the company's downside risks when thinking about OmniQ, the opportunities available, execution? I'd love to hear more.
Yeah. As any other company, we started small. We're growing nicely, over $100 million. We started 5 years ago from 40 something. So we're growing nicely, but you learn all the time, and you're with limited resources all the time. Yeah, we could run faster, right? I mean, if we had more money, etc. I think if you talk about the theoretically, all the risks out there is how fast we can run. So we try to run fast. We fall many times and break our legs because we are entering areas that no one had walked on. Like, we're walking on streets that no one had walked on before. When you go to a small town, suddenly there are new challenges. It's not like Los Angeles and know everything about everything already. It's these guys, sometimes don't have a laptop to run something. And that's why we are facing a lot of challenges. And we found as well that one of our strengths is how do we learn to get up faster every single time we face a challenge. We know that the challenges will come. We know the mistakes will happen. We know we're going to fall and break our legs, but it's everything that what matters is how fast you get up as a company, as a small company. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, from the investor point of view, it's hard for me. Again, I'm trying to be objective about this, but our resources are limited. We have competition. So far, we were able to bid and get awarded with projects that very big companies, even Motorola, were after, and we got it. And I think it's the performance and execution that needs to be monitored and tracked all the time.
Right. Yeah, because that actually leads into my next question. Because I have to ask, right? The company just reported Q1 2023, revenue 27.8 million, and increased the AI based revenue by about 88%. Within there, the company also reported at a loss for the quarter. So just for those that are probably curious, clearly you're a growth stage company. What is, from what you can tell us, and in your opinion, what does that path to profitability look like?
The good thing is that, and again, aside from loving technology and what we do, is you got to run a company. So we monitor and we work on cash and how do we manage cash and how do we become profitable. So the good news is that if you measure it to previous quarters before, we generate more cash. The other good news is that we're increasing our margins. So basically, I can tell you that before, several years ago, when we started all these investments and turn around the company, etc., the times were much tougher and harder. Okay, I mean, because we were small and we didn't have enough to play with. Okay, let's take this and do that instead of that. Before, it was very small or smaller, and it was harder to juggle. Today, it's much easier to juggle, and we show by performance that we're getting there. This year is going to be significant. This year is going to be nice on that end. In that sense, we are showing by parameters that we're moving towards the right direction and profitability as well. And we have also and that's why we became a NASDAQ entity, because we have that tool as well to our disposal. Of course, you don't want to go out to the market with such valuations, but definitely it's there. And we created it just because we don't want to stop our growth. We don't want, with the backlog we got, with the reaction and the feedback from the growth engines and areas that we deal with, that it's very significant, very positive. So we don't want, we made sure we have enough financial tools to back us up to support the growth and support our execution.
Very good. All right, Shai. So, you've answered all my questions. I've taken up a lot of your time here. So, my final question then for you here today, in your opinion, where do you want to see this company, OmniQ, in 3 to 5 years? And what would you say are some of the inflection points that'll get you there?
OmniQ is, I said this from day one, before I even knew what we can do. We're a billion-dollar company, and that's where we need to be, and that's where the employees and my partners here deserve to be. And when you check it and compare it objectively with comparables that do a portion today of what we do, you can see how they're evaluated and why they're even more than that. But that's the first milestone I want to get to, and we know we can get to, like you said, in 3 years. We should be there.
Well, I didn't say you will get there in 3 to 5. I said, where do you want to see it in 3 to 5 years? Just making sure.
That's where I want to see. That's where I want to see.
Got it.
And I know we can be there, and I can show a clear plan of how. Again, there's a lot of factors, but I believe in performance, and I think we can get there, because people will start understanding. What will get them to understand this is the exposure, the to the audience, to the market, for people to know what we're doing here, to come and visit us, to get live demos, to go to cities, to see how it's done, to go to schools where we're at, and to go to parking lots. And next time you're going to park in Los Angeles Airport, LAX, or San Francisco or something, look at the cameras there, see the HDS, which are or OmniQ. These are the two brands that we have on our cameras, and see that we're there. OmniQ is there, and OmniQ is going to get to where it needs to be.
Absolutely. You know what, I lied. I got one more question for you, because when thinking about, various catalytic events for the company, it's clearly adding certain logos, right, for each of the verticals. You go on the company's investor presentation, you got a nice page with all the logos on and everything. Who would you say at this point, if you're open to maybe answering this, who would you say is that one company that if you got their business, you could see that maybe opening the floodgates to some others that, maybe are, on the sidelines kind of waiting and seeing, who would that be?
In the supply chain market, where a lot of our Fortune 100, 500 customers are at, there are, at least right now as we speak, 2 companies testing our solutions to migrate from the legacy solution, which we are the ones providing to them today, actually testing and piloting our stuff, the next gen one, which makes them more efficient. There are 2. And once we break the first, you will see that flow. Now, each one of these Fortune 100, 500 companies can double the company in a year, okay? Because these are big global presence, footprint, and they need thousands of devices, and they need that because we save tens of millions of dollars, and we showed this. So they were piloting this. It took a while. For us as well, it took a while to expose it to them, because we had to focus, and we had a lot of penetration to do with additional markets as well. I can't mention the name of the companies, but if I did, you'd understand immediately what I'm talking about.
All right, Shai. So now that's a good place to end it right there. With that, where can our audience go and find more information on OmniQ, the company's website?
So it's omniq.com. And also we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and all the social medias as well. We're press releasing as well a lot. And of course, my number and details are available. And we'll be happy to provide any type of information anyone needs.
Very good. Well, Shai, thank you so much for joining me today. Really do appreciate it. Good luck. Stay safe. And I look forward to our next update.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not provided as financial, legal, or any other advice. The information is not investment advice or an offer to buy or sell any securities or make any investment. The views expressed by guest speakers are their own, and any reference to third-party products, services, or information does not constitute an endorsement thereof by SNN or its affiliates. SNN expressly disclaims all liability for any individual's use of the information presented in this podcast.